Welcome back to Buckeye Football Weekly. As promised, we have expanded our cast here to talk about a very important issue here around Central Ohio and really across the U.S. and the world. And we've got three special gentlemen here with us, and we can take a look. Bob Mansfield right here. And as we move down, Ryan Zinn, thanks for joining us, a heart transplant recipient. And as we move down to the end, of course, Ron Packard. And we thank you guys for joining us here. And every one of these guys with a story certainly to tell. We start with Bob Mansfield. And Bob, very special connection to The Ohio State University and a part of your staff, Coach.
Well, he really is. And I learned a lot about what a transplant person goes through, what their family goes through, the impact of donors that save lives, and there's so much more until you know someone. And I watched Bob go through his situation, and his wife Linda right there at his side, and the donor coming through, and he's been on our staff now, 10 years now?
10 years, Coach.
On our staff, and we came here 6.5 years ago, and our academics were at about a 2.5, and now he's got them up over a 3-point, and a lot because of his academic work with our kids.
Well, kidney transplant, is that right? And,
yes,
and a pretty good racquetball player in your own right?
Was.
National champion 3 times, I believe.
He's being modest. He's got the gold medals to prove it there. But what has the transplant meant to you? Obviously, a second chance at life, but what has it meant to you?
Well, you just hit it right on the head. It's a second chance at life, but it's given me the opportunity to be with Coach Tressel here at Youngstown State and at Ohio State, and it's also given me the opportunity to see a friend of mine, Ryan Zinn, who's competed against in 1998, and I don't know if there's any one word to describe it other than blessed. I'm a very blessed man. I'm a very humble guy when it comes to the fact that my life has been saved, and I don't always know why I was picked to be one of the fortunate ones, but when I see gentlemen like this and everyone looks so good and healthy, it's a miracle.
Well, Bob, you just hit it on the head right there. And looking at you three gentlemen, it doesn't appear possible that you stared right in the face of death and were able to overcome the odds and live well and prosper. Ryan, a heart transplant and a great track star. Tell me about the transplant games.
Well, it's an event that we have every 2 years here in the United States, and on the off year we're internationally competing. And we'll be in Pittsburgh actually in July of 2008. So it's a great opportunity for people to get together, celebrate life, promote organ and tissue donation, and say thank you to the donor families as well.
What led to your transplant?
For me, it was a viral infection during high school. I went from being a perfect athlete, doing everything, to about 9 months later being told I was going to die in 6 months.
Ron Packard, I know that you have a very important part in what goes on around Central Ohio, Lifeline of Ohio, and tell me about the academic portion of that.
Our job at Lifeline of Ohio is to go into the community, educate Ohioans, educate Americans. In my case, I educate students about donation, the importance of talking to their family. We talk about the myths, the misconceptions. We try to clear up those concerns. I share my story. I'm a liver recipient. I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, both born after my transplant. And so through this sharing those stories of, like all of us here, we encourage Ohioans to join the Ohio Donor Registry, say yes at the BMV, tell their family that decision as well.
What are some of the general misconceptions that people find out there as
Probably
roadblocks?
The biggest fear people have is that if I end up in the emergency room and that doctor knows I'm going to be a donor, that doctor's going to let me die to get my organs, which is absolutely false. The critical care staff at the hospital, they have one job, and that one job is to save the life of the patient on the table in front of them. That's it. Nobody in that emergency room is going to care if that person's a donor. They're not going to benefit if that person becomes a donor. I don't care what people might hear on the street. The reality is those emergency room staff, they're there to save your life.
Well, the reality is also that you guys are living proof, and to get those stories out there and to help people become informed. Ryan, I'm sure you've come across that in your travels.
Well, it's a great opportunity for us just to go out and tell people along the street, what we've been able to do because of these transplants and these donor families. Impacting people's lives is the important thing.
Well, certainly when we look at your accomplishments and what you guys have been able to do and the good that you do around the community here, Coach, you see some athletes that are, pretty strong in their own right despite the odds.
And no question, these guys are amazing. And you look at some of our athletes who have had knee surgeries, and because of skin and tissue donations, they're out playing professional football. They're moving along playing for us. And, you know, there are so many ways that people can help. And just the awareness, as I mentioned, growing with Bob and watching his situation really opened my eyes to how critical it is for people to have an awareness and to make sure that you're an organ donor and, like you say, have that on that license plate, and that is so critical.
Well, we've got a big game to talk about this week. We've got another one to talk about in a few weeks down the road, but another contest with Michigan. I know we're always up for these. The Buckeye Wolverine Challenge for Life. We're going to talk about that and tell you how you can get involved up next.